Could Yuji, after going through his awakening, beat True Form Chainsaw Man? After dropping Yuji vs. Denji almost 2 years ago now, back when everyone was complaining how I didn't give Yuji Sukuna and it wasn't fair and blah blah blah. Anyway, after we've seen Itadori beat his inner demon and we see Denji now embracing his true self, I wanted to see if Yuji Itadori, the super prodigy of the JJK verse, has what it takes to bring down the most feared devil in all of Chainsaw Man. Just know I'll be spoiling both the Chainsaw Man and JJK manga, and this matchup is not for anime onlys. If you want something more like that, then go and check out the other video I dropped a couple years ago. Now to start us off, I'll be going over Yuji Itadori's abilities, as he's had a lot of time to grow over the last 2 arcs, specifically during the Koli Games and Shinjuku Showdown arc. As we know, he'd first start to enter a new realm of power after Sukuna would take Megumi's body, with him being able to press a weakened Sukuna and fight alongside Maki. Although Maki was superior to Yuji at the time, the fact still stands that he's able to keep up with a fighter on the level of Toji Zenin in terms of physicality. And after this fight, he'd go on to train for 1 more month, and during this time, he'd learn a lot of things, such as blood manipulation, simple domain, and reverse curse techniques, along with acquiring some gauntlets Yuta prepared for him. And as we know, he does know the basics of domain expansion, though I don't think it really would do anything in this battle, as you'll see later on. But if Yuji wants to land a sure hit dismantle, he can do that. And oh yeah, as well, he can utilize some of Sukuna's techniques. And of course, he has the previous techniques that he was already rocking, such as the divergent fist, where he can alter the timing of his hits and throw his opponent completely off, and of course can utilize the black flash technique. With the black flash and his ability to strike the opponent's soul, he's able to overwhelmingly weaken the opponent while also growing in power himself. And if Yuji can hit consecutive black flashes, that's just going to be exponentially doing more damage to the soul. And it's pretty clear at least current Yuji actually has a lot going for him, in contrast to Denji, who has a pretty simple kit. It's just chainsaws, man. I'm here all day. Anyway, now as for Yuji's physical stats, he should be on the level of Maki and even surpassing her by the time he awakens. Maki was able to surpass a Mach 3 Naoya after being fully realized, and before the 1 month of training, Yuji was at least keeping up with her. Now granted, Sukuna was blitzing Maki and Sukuna in Shinjuku, but by the end, Yuji definitely had overall better scaling to Sukuna than her, so at the very worst, he's moving multiple times the speed of sound. We have Maki and Hikari's bullet and lightning dodging feats as well if you really wanted to reach for Itadori, but I'd like to keep this video a little more simple for scaling, as JJK and Chainsaw Man, weirdly enough, both have very similar consistency with their scaling, and so I wanted to look at what an in-universe matchup would look between these two. So I'm not going to be bringing up the mountain level stuff or the massively hypersonic stuff. We really don't know if Hikari did evade the attack, and the Maki feat is weird because of the Naoya stuff that happens, and piercing blood as well, whether you like it or not, is a technique that is established to be pretty fast in universe, and even characters like Orame couldn't even fully blitz it. So it is kind of consistent for Yuji being only a few times faster than sound even before reaching his full potential, but of course with the black flash amps and of course after awakening, he would be way faster, but I don't think he's reaching any higher than hypersonic. With the speed tangent out the way, let's talk about Yuji's strength and durability, which at the very worst should be like large town level. Characters like Ryu, who are stronger than Yuta, are able to shoot granite blasts with over 1.7 kilotons of energy, and we know Yuta can harm Ryu, and Ryu can also tank his own energy blast. I think this is the most simple and cut and dry way to scale Itadori into that large town / city level range, because every other way I just don't think Yuji scales to it. Like, for example, I don't think Yuji is able to withstand Sukuna's fire arrow back in Shibuya, or Gojo's hollow purple, or even deal with certain properties in certain characters' domains like Jogo's heat or Orame's ice. Domains usually are buffs for a user, and though being able to clash domains and expend that much energy is impressive to a degree, it doesn't mean Yuji's eye level because he's stronger than Dagon. Yuji at his peak though is pretty much a nuclear bomb with boxing gloves, with him now being considered as a special grade. But can the sorcerer who defeated the strongest beat the most feared devil? Chainsaw Man back in the day was known as the most feared devil, bringing down devils like the War, Nuke, and even modern times the Control Devil. The reason why Chainsaw Man is the most feared is because of his ability to eat and erase the very concept of whatever he consumes. We've seen this confirmed in part 2 with characters losing their mouths and ears after Denji would eat the mouth and ear devil. This is not just something questionably usable anymore, it's firmly established in universe that Chainsaw Man erases concepts. Chainsaw Man as well has ridiculous regeneration, with him being pretty much incapable of dying unless you destroy Poochita directly, and we've seen Denji literally reforming around his heart and regenerating from things that for sure should have killed him, and if he takes the blood of his opponent as well, he can just keep regenerating and fight for literal days. Denji as well, if he's fighting multiple opponents, can restrain his opponents with chainsaw chains, which is pretty cool. And really, these are all just extra ways for him to slice and dice his opponents with chainsaws, man. Now, as for Chainsaw Man's stats, well, it's pretty easy to go over as he is the most feared devil, and the more feared a devil is, the stronger it is. So he should pretty much upscale from most, if not everything in the verse. Currently, we have Chainsaw Man awakening back into the same state that killed War and ate the Nuke Devil. Him also beating up Makima would mean he could probably kill the Gun Devil at his peak, who just by moving was wiping out cities at hypersonic speeds. And we even see Asas attack on Denji in the new chapter, blowing a chunk on a mountain, and Denji instantly regenerated from this. We've also seen Denji bring down the Falling Devil, whose gravity literally affects the entire Earth, and during their fight was pretty much just causing mini earthquakes. So through the War, Gun, Nuke, and Falling Devil, you could get Denji at the very worst into those city level ranges, with him potentially reaching that mountain level tier depending on how good this feat of Asa is. Denji can not only hurt characters on this tier, but he can instantly regenerate from much stronger attacks. We've seen him blitzing Katana Man and even reacting to him in his earlier days. The same guy who was perception blitzing characters like Aki, who can react to bullets. We've seen him as well somehow block a beam of light from Makima, but I don't think we can really say that this is light speed, as we don't know what this beam is made out of. It just looks like light. For all we know, it's just a beam of energy. Anyway, with that being said, let's now answer the question, could current Yuji beat Chainsaw Man? After Yuji's preparation for the King of Curses, he would be prepared to go and watch Gojo vs Sukuna before another threat then emerges. While Gojo vs Sukuna goes down, a threat is running the streets of Shinjuku, claiming that he is the strongest and all the ladies should pay attention to him rather than Gojo and Sukuna. This leads into Itadori being the one to go down and handle business, as he needs Gojo to focus on Sukuna along with the others, and as soon as he's done with this threat, he can go and maybe help Gojo out if he really needs it. And so we'll have Yuji dropping down in front of Chainsaw Man straight up, with him having the two divergent fists ready to engage in combat. The fight simulation would then start, and now we can compare the character stats. Now, in terms of just pure speed, I think it's actually pretty close. In JJK, I feel like it's more consistent to say that these characters are reaching those Mach speeds, or at least it's easier to say because there's more evidence to show it rather than in Chainsaw Man specifically. But I do think the Gun Devil does have a better feat than anything in JJK in terms of speed, which Chainsaw Man at his peak should scale to. So although I think Itadori would definitely start off strong, Chainsaw Man should be able to react to and block any attack of Itadori's. And if Itadori is not specifically targeting the soul, which in character he doesn't, Chainsaw Man is just straight up going to be regenerating from every single attack. Granted, Itadori also has regeneration himself, but I do not think it's to the same degree as literally Chainsaw Man, who can kick his own heart out of his body and reform around it. Yeah, if Itadori were to try this, he would just freeze in space. And in terms of just straight up attack potency and what both characters have dealt with individually, Chainsaw Man has just so much more going for him. I did call Itadori a nuclear bomb with boxing gloves, but what's a nuclear bomb to a devil who's actually eaten nuclear bombs? I feel like the only way Itadori truly wins this is if he looks at Chainsaw Man and just immediately throws a domain expansion, or if he's in the awakening just spams black flashes. But I don't think he can even do that because of not only the speed gap, but Chainsaw Man also has range on Yuji. All of Yuji's abilities are mainly for close quarters besides piercing blood, which Chainsaw Man can easily deflect, while Denji could spam throw his chainsaw chains. Yuji straight up has to just look at him and scream domain expansion for him to have any type of chance, but in a normal case scenario, Chainsaw Man is way too fast, way too strong, and more than likely is going to get the chance to eat Itadori. which Yuji would not be able to regenerate from. The very concept of Yuji Itadori would be erased, and wait, who was Chainsaw Man fighting again? I don't know. He wins though. I don't know who he was fighting. I forgot.